This is a Triple J podcast.
Hey, it's Lucy, jumping in your podcast feed to let you know that we are days away from Science with Dr. Karl live. If you have your ticket, if you're heading along to the Enmore Theatre, I want you to keep your eyes peeled in the foyer near the merch stand for our jar of not science questions. In this jar, there's going to be pen and paper provided, and I want you to submit a question that's got nothing to do with science. For Dr. Karl or myself, Dr. Karl answers our science queries every single week, but if there's something about him that you've always wanted to know, this is your chance to ask. If you've not got a ticket yet to Science with Dr. Karl Live, they are still available, but we are down to our last few, so jump on it via Ticketek. We'll have a link for you in the show notes, and we'll see you there, Monday, August 11, during National Science Week. Science with Dr. Karl Live, hosted by me, Lucy Smith. All right, let's get into this week's questions where we seem to have a lot of people putting sayings or myths under the microscope. If you've ever used the expression, I nearly shat myself, we're going to unpack that a little bit. And of course, we look to the stars, we look to the earth, we talk about climate change, plenty and more. And I was giving away so many tickets to Science with Dr. Karl Live. Here's some of these winning entries right now. Dr. Karl, how are you feeling? We had a little rehearsal yesterday.
I'm kind of excited for it because it'll be good getting stuff straight from the audience live there on spot. Plus, we have a once-in-a-universe invented object. Are we allowed to talk about it?
Maybe.
Has there been a video on it?
There has been on your feed.
Okay.
We are going to be giving away a special prize on the night.
And there's only one in the entire known universe.
And it is the Dr. Karl, the Bobbleniski bobblehead.
Bobbleniski bobblehead.
Yes. And this was one that you had made via 3D printing. Go on Dr. Karl's Instagram if you want to get a look at this thing. We're getting a bit of an exclusive right here, right now, because we're going to be giving away this one-of-a-kind Dr. Karl Bobbleniski bobblehead on the night. Just imagine exactly what you think it is, and boom, there it is. It's got a little spring and everything. And how long did it take to make, Dr. Karl?
A few hours in setting up the machinery so that it could scan my head properly, and then a few hours actually in the machine, laying it up very thin layer by very thin layer. The technology is called 3D printing. It began back in the 1980s, and within maybe a decade or two, you'll have a 3D printer at home where you can make some small object. And it'd be pushing it to be able to make your smartphone, but that's not impossible. You could actually make your smartphone from the 50 or so different elements. You just get little tubs and just sort of squirts down some niobium, so titanium, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, everything.
My favourite was seeing the way that you had to peel away to get to the Bobbleniski bobblehead. It looked like candle wax or something.
It's the weird stuff, and it's not just the El Cheapo polylactic acid. They've actually made things with 3D printing that can survive winds of 1,000 kilometres an hour and temperatures of over 1,500 degrees C.
Wow.
And it's something the size of your human head, and it's a fuel injection system for the inside of a jet engine. And before, it used to cost several $1 million to make by hand, and now printing it layer by layer, it's $250,000.
Wow.
Okay, so that's inside various jet engines.
So hang on. The Bobbleniski did not cost that much money though, did it?
No, the material costs, I think, $1,000 a kilo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
This
right.
one is very small, okay?
Yeah.
You're not getting a kilo-sized bobblehead, but
No.
it is a piece of history, I would say. So we're going to be giving that away Monday night at Science with Dr. Karl Live. For the very first time, taking your questions to the live stage. Last tickets are on sale now, so if you want to get along, if you want to be there in the room, make sure you head to Ticketek. Or Dr. Karl, we're giving away some this morning to some good questions.
And even ones of questionable moral values.
What do you mean?
Well, maybe they're sort of bad moral values, but interesting nevertheless. And moral values are so personal from one society to another.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
I'm glad you bring this up because we've got Macy in Melbourne here.
Dr.
Macy,
Macy.
what's your question?
We love you, Macy, whoever you are and whatever you're talking about.
Hi, doctors.
Dr.
My
Macy.
question is about gossiping. Why does it feel so good when someone says, oh, I've got something to tell you and I can't wait? Whether it be good or bad news, you just can't wait to hear it.
So gossip is thought to be involved with the human brain getting bigger. So if you have a look at the two-legged animals, you've got the back part, you've got the core of the brain stem, which does things like breathing and your heart rate. And then you've got the back of your head, which does all sorts of things like vision. And then you've got the middle part, which does motor and sensation. And then at the front, you've got the bit that makes us human, that has invented things like poetry, income tax, and weapons of mass destruction, things that make us truly human, and be able to work out bus timetables. And gradually that frontal area has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you draw a graph, and this was done back in the 1980s, if you draw a graph on one axis of the size of the group, and on the other axis, the size of the brain, it's a straight line relationship. So if you've got a very small front brain, a two-legged animal, a primate, you can just sort of sit around and there'd be me and Lucy, and I'll pick the nits out of her hair and she'll pick the nits out of my hair, and we can kind of grunt. And as you get a bigger brain, you get more complexity and you can do more complex social behaviours. And so now we're at the situation where it helped make us strong so that we could form groups. And so we can do social connection and cohesion. And how is such and such? And part of you is interested in such and such, but part of you is bonding with that other person. Then self-enhancement. I saw this and nobody else saw it. And then, of course, there's a whole did you know the curiosity thing. And it gives you a sense of control over the world, that something that you can't control the whole universe, at least you can control your description of it. And then finally, it stops you being bored. Although, on the other hand, you can doom scroll on your phone. But then that stops when your battery runs out, and hopefully in humans the battery doesn't run out for a long time.
Yeah, okay. So would you say, Dr. Karl, that the more you gossip, the bigger your brain gets?
Not necessarily, but it's not I was going to say not impossible, but if you know about working your way around the world. Okay, here's a personal question without notice. You ready for it, Dr. Macy?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm sure you know how to use GPS. Do you know how to read a map?
To an extent,
okay,
yes.
Right. So most people don't. Most people coming through don't. It's an ancient skill. Like you don't need to know how to use a quill. But in London, the drivers are amazing. And if you ask them, how do you go from here to there? They'll say, if you're beginning here, say, well, I'll go forward 50 metres and then I have to do a U-turn, but I can't do a U-turn because there's a no entry sign. There's a one-way sign on that street. But I go to the next street, 50 metres down, I do a U-turn, I stick my nose in, do a U-turn and come back. And they can describe in their brain exactly the path that you go from here to there. And when I was a taxi driver, we used to do that just for fun with each other. And what they've found in London is that the taxi drivers who are the black cab taxi drivers have got a bigger part of their brain dealing with maps. So with regard to gossip, the answer is I don't know, but it might.
Can I say, Macy, as well, we've gotten this text from Chris who says, if you like gossiping, you're a smooth brain with no life or intelligence. Gossip for losers, ideas for legends. Macy, I don't know about you, I hate that sentiment because I feel like...
I couldn't agree more.
To gossip, right? As long as you're not hurting anyone, etc., to gossip actually takes a pretty high EQ, takes a good amount of empathy, a good amount of knowledge, and a good idea of reading a situation, taking social accountability. I'm sorry, but you ask a man why his friend broke up with their girlfriend and they can't tell you anything. Whereas, you say, why did they break up? What happened? Boom, nothing to give because you don't ask follow-up questions. Gossiping is just research, me love. Yeah,
and the thing you mentioned about EQ, there has been a massive rise in EQ over the last few generations in at least Australian society that I know of, and I think it's fantastic.
Like, I would rather have a good hearty gossip than hear about someone's podcast idea. Macy, do you agree?
I couldn't agree more, Lucy.
We must all be correct because we all three of us agree on the same thing.
That's it.
We're in the rabbit hole already.
Macy, I also just think, we're so used to passing down knowledge systems from the beginning. This is something that we always did. So, I don't know, I'm for gossip. I think it does feel good.
Oh, yes.
And there is a scientific reason. As long as you're being kind and reasonable and not, chewing someone's ear off when they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, you want to share the love.
You got to read the room.
Read the room, share the love.
We got Chris in Katoomba here. Dr. Chris, you are going to talk about an expression here. Talk us through it.
Yes, thank you. My the expression is when somebody has a close call in traffic, other people say, "Oh, I bet he shit himself," or I bet he needed a change of underpants, or I hope he had great brown trousers on. And I just want to know, is that real? Because I ride a motorbike and I've had plenty of close calls. I've never had that experience. So is that a real thing or is it just a myth?
Okay, well, firstly, Chris, I think that everybody who drives on the roads should start with a motorbike licence and drive a motorbike, so then they get situational awareness and they realise that in some cases people are out to get them. So big it up on you and riding a motorbike. You agree with that sentiment? Yeah, that's good. Okay, so secondly, pooing the pants. Well, I get my information here from where I get all of my moral values. The Godfather. And in The Godfather, they describe how they kill somebody from the back seat with some piano wire, and then they suddenly smell the smell of poo as the person in the front seat whom they kill with the piano wire defecates. So not in all cases, but in some cases, you're near a full bladder or needing to defecate anyway, and you're holding it back with a bit of control. And then when something stressful happens, anything from somebody trying to cut you off in traffic to a near-death experience, then you don't have enough processor cycles in your brain to govern your bowel or your urinary bladder, and a little bit leaks out. So it definitely does happen, but it's not in every single case.
Okay, well, I've been in plenty of near-death experiences on my bike, and my feeling is that you're more inclined to clench rather than let go, if you know what I mean.
Ah, okay, so you've gone down a pathway where you clench rather than let go, and you've trained yourself down that pathway. Other people who are not so lucky have gone down a different pathway. It's kind of messy.
Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. Is that it?
Do you ride a cruiser or a naked bike, or what do you ride?
It's a sports bike.
Oh, God. They're so terrifying. Okay,
yes.
Big enough for you, and I'm so glad. And do you agree with my sentiment that everybody should learn to ride a bike before they get a car license?
Absolutely.
Yeah, teach them some humility and some scare them.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like, people are out to get you sometimes, and you just want that situational awareness as opposed to scrolling secretly on your phone while you're driving. Okay,
that's true.
Thank you, Chris. We love everything you've ever done.
You got to be on. Thanks, Chris. We got River from the end in Brisbane. Dr. River, what's your question?
Hello, doctors. I'm just calling through. I'm hoping to know if anyone can work this out. What would happen if the Earth is spinning the other way? So we rotate anti-clockwise. What happens if we rotate clockwise?
In general, most of the planets spin the same way, and it's a follow-on from how the star and the planet formed from a rotating cloud of gas and dust. There have been a few cases where we've seen planets doing weird things. We've discovered about 3,500 other solar systems out there. And Uranus, the planet way out there just before Neptune, is actually lying on its side. And we're trying to work out how that happened. And you can get very close to rotating backwards. Venus kind of rotates backwards in the sense that its day, that's the time from sunrise to sunrise, is longer than its year, which is the time to go a complete orbit around the sun and come back again. So there's something weird going on there. So firstly, there'd be the, oh my God, we've got to look to the west instead of the east. Okay, that's not so hard. Then we've got the Coriolis effect, which means that when you fly from the east coast of Australia across to Perth, if you're flying to Perth, the winds are against you, very much so in August, and then the other way around a little bit, 6 months later. So those weather patterns would be changed. And it wouldn't be just a simple, just everything goes in the other direction because there's mountains and other things in a way like that. Then you've got the ocean currents. There's a current called the thermohaline current, which carries chunks of water the size of continents every second. And if you want to scare yourself a little, look up, what is it called? The overturning Indian meridian or something. Look up thermohaline current, and there's a part of it which goes into the Atlantic Ocean. And if that were to reverse, suddenly you couldn't grow crops in Europe and on the east coast of the USA because the cold water coming down from the pole would stop you from doing that. So it would be a whole different ballpark. And then there may be further down the line a more subtle effect on the tectonic plates. They move around the Earth at roughly the rate your fingernails grow at, about 5 to 10 centimetres a year. They're the size of, there's about 13 of them, and they would then start to change, and that could lead to earthquakes and volcanoes. That's a more minor effect. I think the weather would be the first thing.
Wow. Absolutely.
But where humans could live would also change, especially with regard to that thermohaline current. Oh, here it is, the overturning something. Anyway, that's the name of the current that scientists are really worried about that might stop keeping Europe and the USA warm due to its bringing water from the equator, and they're worried that it might reverse. And this is an effect of global warming. So with the world warming, parts of it could get colder.
When?
The trouble is you only know after it's happened. But we can stop it. The simple thing with, throwing in climate change mission, keep fossil carbon in the ground. We'll get back to your question. So is that enough there about the Earth rotating, changing its spin?
Sure is.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hey, River, you're in Meanjin, Brisbane, but I hear you want to come along to Science with Dr. Karl Live.
I do. I was thinking of sneaking down.
Oh, my
Well,
God.
River, if this gives you any more incentive, you are heading along, my girl. You win a double pass to Science with Dr. Karl Live going down at the Enmore Theatre. Book those tickets. Book those flights.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Georgia in Bowral. Dr. Georgia, what's your question?
Hi, doctors. I was lucky enough to be in Uluru in May, and I was out there at the Rock at night. It was a beautiful moonless night.
Wow.
The stars were amazing. And I was wondering what makes stars different colours. Particularly, there was one group of stars called the Jewel Box, which was so beautiful.
Love that.
Wow.
That's so nice.
And was there a moon in the sky?
No.
So that way you had really good Milky Way?
We did. I've never ever seen it like that. It was just phenomenal.
Mate, that was the best thing about my quarter of a century test driving four-wheel drives in the Australian outback. I spent 2 years sleeping under the stars, often in a swag, and there's nothing just like looking at the Milky Way and then thinking, oh, that's so beautiful, then falling to sleep, and then waking up in the middle of the night, seeing a meteor and thinking, all's good with the world and going back to sleep again. Everything's fine. So the first thing to realise is that the stars are living objects because they're born from dust and then they go through a life cycle, they ignite, and then they go through a life cycle, they burn up their fuel, and then they die. And as they die, they throw off their material, which then goes to make the next generation of stars. So in that sense, they're living. Do they doom scroll? That's a different thing on social media. They don't. But as they burn through their life, the next thing is that the heavier they are when they start, the faster they burn through their life. So our star, which is a G-type star, the order of stars is O, B, A, F, G, K, M, which is a slightly rude acronym, so you look it up yourself. And so we're roughly in the middle, and we'll take 5 billion years to die out, and we've already been running for 5 billion, so that's a total of 10 billion years. And we're a sort of a greenish star, but other stars which are, say, 10, 20 times hotter than us, they're hotter. They go through their life in maybe 2 billion, maybe even 100 million, and they go to different colours. So the colours of the stars range from blue to sort of green, and the most common stars in the universe are red stars, red dwarfs. And in fact, we've even discovered, this is diverting off to another thing, we've even discovered some planets that are hotter than most of the stars in the universe.
Wow.
And you're thinking, hey, that doesn't make sense because planets only receive heat and the stars make it, but these are the most common star in the universe is the red dwarf. The astronomers, when they're being unkind, call them cockroaches.
Oh.
Because they're looking, I know, it's so unfair, because they're looking for some interesting red objects that could be very far away moving fast, and instead there's all these stupid red dwarfs everywhere. And so they've found some planets going around a very hot star, but they're really close. So instead of taking a year to go around, they go around in 2 days. They're really close, and they're hot, and they're hotter than the average temperature of most of the red dwarfs. So getting back to the Jewel Box, I'm guessing, but I don't know for sure, that it has a bunch of stars of different colours. There are some that are really heavy and burning blue, and some that are lighter and burning red, and there's some in between. So what colours did you see?
I think it was blue, red and green.
Yeah. And the weird thing, by the way, if you want to look for stars at night, is look directly at the star with your focusing on it, and then avert your vision. Turn your vision just a little bit to one side, and then it will start the light will land on a few rods, and you'll get a wider colour range.
What do you mean, like in your peripheral?
Yeah. So, but only just a little bit, like maybe 1/10 of the diameter of the moon. So in some cases you can't see things straight on because when you've got an eyeball. Each eyeball has a retina. The eyeball is 24 millimeters in diameter, and the retina sort of wraps around the inside. And there's a tiny area called the macula, which is where you do your focusing. So you want to look at somebody's eyeball or their face, look at a print on a page. You swivel your eyeball so the image lands on the macula, which is, I don't know, maybe a millimeter across. 50% of all the information from your retina comes out of the macula. And the other huge area is only the other 50%. And the macula is just full of cones that work really well in daylight. And if you want to see a little bit better in worse light, just take your vision a little bit off, and then suddenly you can see things pop into view. So just a little, avert your vision just a little bit off to one side. And by the way, there are some Australians who have never seen the Milky Way, and they should follow you out there.
Hey, Georgia.
Everyone needs to get out there.
Yeah.
It was amazing, yeah.
I've never been. I would love to.
Oh, well,
I've got to.
My daughter's boyfriend had never seen the Milky Way, and we took him out there, and it was like, is this what the Milky Way is?
Yeah.
He'd never seen it in his whole life. It's just a whole different thing. Oh, my God, it's just astonishing.
Georgia, what are you doing Monday night?
I would love to be coming to the Enmore Theatre.
Well,
Hey, Georgia, you're going to be seeing some different stars. You're going to see myself and Dr. Karl for Science with Dr. Karl Live. Thank you so much for submitting your question.
Thank you.
you,
I'll
Georgia.
see you Monday.
See you Monday.
Yes,
And-
we can't wait to see you. You get a double pass.
wow. Now, was I getting a hint of a Tom Jones song intro in that?
Potentially.
From Las Vegas, like about 40 years ago?
Big band feel is what I'm going for, Dr. Karl.
Oh, see, that's why you're a musician and I'm not.
Georgia will send you on hold to get those tickets. You get a double pass. If you want to buy your tickets, you can make that happen via Ticketek. Ken in Newcastle, what's your question?
Hi, there's an object heading towards Earth that's going to arrive about November, and it's behaving a bit strangely, and I've seen that it's sort of reported that they don't actually know what it is. I'm just wondering, do I draw all my money out of the bank and go on holidays?
Okay.
Or-
Firstly, no, the closest it will get to us, Earth, is more than the closest distance between the Earth and Mars. It's a really long way away. It's not even coming as close as the moon. It's going to be a long way away. Secondly, it's the third interstellar object that we've discovered. Now, so it's called 3I. So what I mean by an interstellar object, in our solar system, you've got the sun in the middle. Then there's some planets going around it, which are going in pretty circular orbits, but they're actually just a little bit elliptical. Nothing goes in a circular orbit anywhere in the universe because there's too many forces interfering. And then there are some objects that are really elliptical or like a football shape, like Halley's Comet, which is way out there in the sticks, way out past Pluto, which I still love to pieces, and then zips in the solar system once every, I think, 70 years, then zips out again. And we know the velocity at which it's coming and going out. And, you know, we look at it for a few days and we can pretty well work out its path. We can do it quickly with computers. In the old days, people would do it by hand. And there's objects that are coming in on a path and it's travelling at such a speed, there's no way that they are tied to the sun. And this is the third one that we've seen coming in. Okay, second part of the story. There's an astronomer at Harvard called Avi Loeb, Aviloeb, and every time he looks at something, it's interstellar, it's proof of artificial life, and we find some bits of iron on the ocean floor. It's proof of an iron spaceship falling on the ocean floor. He is big in saying that it is made by an artificial intelligence and that they'll either love us and give us lots of money or take us over or turn us into food for their animals or something. That's very much a minority opinion. But he is a genuine astronomer and he's at one of the highest rating universities in the world. So you kind of think, oh, well, it's from Harvard. You believe it? Don't believe it. That's the opinion of all the other astronomers I talk to. So it will come in and it seems to be a comet. I'm not too sure yet. We've worked out the size of it, roughly 20 kilometres. The last one that came in was shaped like a cylinder, like you get a pencil and you cut it in thirds.
Yeah.
It was sort of very pencil shape. It wasn't a round blob. And he was saying, it's an odd shape, therefore it was made by aliens. I'm hoping the next one was made by aliens. I really hope it is, but I really want to believe in the aliens, but so far we've got nothing. Is that kind of what you're asking there?
Yeah. Like, with the telescopes we've got, can they see what it is? Or it's just a blur?
Well, if we swing... Our telescopes are really good in space. We've got mirrors 4 and 8 metres in across, and we're not getting any fine detail yet. With regard to the moon, our telescopes from Earth cannot see the vehicles that landed on the moon, but we have several telescopes in orbit around the moon, and they have picked up the vehicles that land on the moon, but only tiny blobs.
Right.
Okay, so wait until it gets closer. Very exciting. Thank you very much for raising this and increasing awareness. This has been a PSA from Triple J.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Dr. Ken.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Aidan in Rockhampton, we're going to get a little bit of an experiment happening here. Describe it to us.
Hey, so if the ambient room temperature is 0 and I have two liquids, one at -40 and one at 40, which liquid is going to get to zero first.
I like imagining this. Dr. Karl?
Okay, so you're in a room at zero, so water will just kind of begin to freeze if it's slightly due. By the way, did you know that they lied to you about water freezing at zero?
Who lied?
The teachers in school. Oh. So if you get rid of all the impurities in water, you can get it below zero to freeze, and you can get it above 100 to boil, but 0 and 100 is close enough. So the room temperature is 100. I'm emphasising it's 100, and you've got two containers at equal distances from zero. One's 40 plus and one's 40 minus. And by the way, is that a joke? Because notice I didn't say centigrade, because this is a physics joke that everybody loves.
No, it's... Yeah,
because minus 40 Fahrenheit is the same as minus 40 degrees C. Oh, physics people are pissing themselves around the country at that one. So, because you never say minus 40 C. You don't have to, because they're the same. Minus 40 C is the same as minus 40 F. All the other centigrade and Fahrenheit temperatures different, but different from each other. The numbers are different, like 100 and 212 for boiling, or 0 and 32 for freezing, but minus 40 is the same in both scales. God, that was funny. Getting right along. Newton's law of cooling says that the rate at which an object gains or loses heat depends on the temperature difference between it and the environment. So in each case, they're the same distance away from the environment, 40 degrees. 40 centigrade degrees. I didn't say 40 degrees centigrade. We'll talk about that later. I won't. So they're the same distance away, so therefore the heat should flow in and out equally. Now, you might have some differences with regard to convection currents, and that I don't know about, but if everything else is equal, they should be the same. Can a physicist ring in on... Does Triple J have a special number to ring on?
0439 757 555. Text in if you are a physicist and you think you might know this.
Yeah. So I'm guessing they're probably the same, but there might be some other things that a real physicist would know. And thank you for remembering that number.
I still don't get the joke about the minus 40.
Oh, okay. So you'll say in a class, so then the temperature drops down to minus 38 degrees C, and people will rob. Then 39 degrees, minus 39 degrees C, and then you say, then it goes down to minus 40, and suddenly people are sort of smiling because you didn't say the C. Oh, God, you save so much time by not saying, like, for example, nobody says 100 anymore because it takes too long. You say hunge. Oh yeah. Apparently I've been told that by various young people.
Okay. Well, we are going to get one more question before we go to...
It's a pretty weak joke. No, it sucks, man.
No, it's for the right audience. I think it's great.
Yeah, you need a proper intro and setup. Yeah, I didn't do that.
That's okay. We're not doing a type 5 here, Dr. Karl.
Whoa. Right on. Yep.
We've got Daniel in Campbelltown here. Dr. Daniel, what's your question?
Yeah, Lucy and Dr. Karl, what's going on?
We're incredibly hunge.
Yeah, we're feeling a hunch.
We're feeling it a hunch, mate.
Nice. I got a question for you. You're travelling behind someone in one lane, then you go to overtake them, and it feels like you're going the same speed as them, but then you go behind them again in one lane, and you feel like you're going slower.
Yeah.
Like you go to overtake them, you do about 5 k's more, and you're like, you struggle to overtake, and then you go back into one lane, and you're stuck behind them again, but you're doing like 10 k's under.
Yeah.
Is that more a scientific thing or a psychological thing, or?
There's science and psychology in it. So if you want to go, say, from 70 to 90 kilometres an hour, you're thinking, I don't need that much energy. I'm only going from 7 to 9. But the energy that you need is 7 squared versus 9 squared. It's 49 versus 80. So you really need a lot of energy to go faster as you go faster. So you're thinking, I only need to go another 10 k's faster, but the engine won't deliver it. Then on top of that, there's a whole bunch of other psychological factors like your perception of relative speed, the fact that you've got a limited attention, you're trying to get past them, and you don't really notice proper things. There's a whole bunch of psychological factors, and every now and then, if the person is not driving on cruise control, they actually will accelerate. I've seen this happen as a passenger, and then when the car then pulls back because they can't overtake, they'll slow down slightly, and it seems really bizarre to me.
Yeah, that's what my question was. Yeah.
I don't fully understand that. We need a psychologist who specialises in relative motion, and it's 04 something. What is it again?
You're trying to remember, aren't you?
Yeah, I got the 04 bit.
You got it. 0439 757 555. Daniel, thanks for your question.
Thank you.
No drums.
We got Josh in Newey who has a question for Dr. Karl this morning. Josh, take it away.
Good morning, doctors. Shout out to Dr. Addy if she's listening. Question is, it's a rainy day here in Newcastle, and I was just wondering about energy. There's a lot of energy potential in the between the atmosphere and the ground. What can we do to harvest it? What are the technical limitations stopping us from, say, sending up high altitude balloons with conductive wires or something along those lines?
The main limitation is that we are an energy-hungry society. We burn up energy like crazy, and I realised this when I was a hippie living in the bush, because to get hot water coming out of the tap is 2 persons' labour. One person to walk down to the creek and bring back the water, the other person to keep the hot fire going all day. So we burn up energy like crazy, and if you were to get all of the energy from all of the lightning bolts on Earth, about 1.5 billion a year, mostly near the equator, and then share that energy between all the humans on Earth, all it would give you would be 2 or 3 cups of tea a day.
Is that it?
There's not that much. There isn't. But on the other hand, think about a barrel of oil, $159 litres, or 200 kilograms of coal. They've got the same amount of energy, and that energy is equal to the energy of a human labourer working for 10 years.
Wow.
So so when you drive in your car and you burn up hydrocarbons, you are using up colossal amounts of energy. So we are just an energy-rich, energy-hungry society, and I like that because it'll lead to a better life, but we can just get our energy from renewables. I don't want to get too much on this theme. But anyway...
the clouds would be good. But
there's not that...
There's not that much.
There's not that much, sorry. I wish there was.
I don't know why we're not talking about thorium reactors.
Thorium reactors...
Thorium we've got in the ground.
Okay, so thorium apparently cannot go bang because you can design it so it can't go bang. The reason that a normal uranium reactor does not go bang is that there are lots of clever engineers who designed it and then keep it running all the time and do not make any mistakes. Otherwise, it can go bang. And we've seen it happen very few times. And nuclear power has been amazingly safe in the fact there's only damaged, killed or harmed a very small number of people as compared to the fossil fuels. On the thorium, you can make it liquid and you have a plug at the bottom made of salt. And then, if it begins to get too hot and dangerous, the liquid thorium melts the salt plug, and following gravity, which always works, it flows downhill into some chambers and it doesn't go bang. The thing is, we haven't built any thorium reactors commercially on the planet, and they're a whole brand new design, and when we go down that pathway, we'll see all sorts of problems that we didn't know about. So we have built a few test reactors, but to have a commercial reactor in what they call the key turn stage, we haven't done it, and it takes 15 years to build a normal nuclear reactor anyway, and by that time we could be totally renewable.
Thanks, Josh. Hey, Josh, what are you and Dr. Addy doing on Monday night?
Well, I was going to go down and press myself against the theatre walls and try to get some knowledge from osmosis.
Oh, we might have a different option.
Yes, Josh, you will not have to press your ears against the walls. You're going to be in the goddamn room. All right.
Awesome.
We've got Mitch in Yarram, Victoria here. Dr. Mitch, what's this theory you want to tell us about?
G'day, doctors. I've got a bit of a weird one for you. My mum has always told me that if you pee on your toes in the shower, it stops you getting gout. And I was just wondering if there was any truth to it or if it's just a weird wives' tale.
Hang on, this is the ABC. You mean the tale of a female domestic engineer or
absolutely,
a female
yes,
person who works
my
outside
mistake.
the home as a second job? Just setting you straight here, mate. Almost certainly not, but if it does work, go for it. I'm kind of, on one hand, the science is quite clear that gout is due to an abnormality of purine metabolism. Look up purine. It's a type of nucleotide. Look it up in Wikipedia. And it is what it is. And there are various treatments that we have. But if in your case, urinating on your toes while in the shower triggers a biochemical cascade, because humans are very different. If that happens to work for you, go for it. The chances are small, but on the other hand, the risk is minor, because all the water from the shower and the toilet end up in the same sewage system anyway. The risk is minor, and the benefit is large, but I wouldn't count on it. If it makes it go away, go for it. And if it works for you, that's wonderful. There was an old saying that they taught me in surgery, pointing out how different people are. Some people, you couldn't kill with a lump of 4B2, and other people would drop dead from the shock of having a shave. So people are very different, right? And it might work. It might trigger something in your biochemical metabolism of purines.
All right, cool. Thanks, Dr. Karl.
Thanks, Mitch. Hey, we had a question earlier about the premise of being so scared that you shit yourself. You know, that expression.
Yeah.
Is there some fact to it? Mark in Albury coming through with a theory saying,
Mark.
I went through a period of anxiety some years ago and at times did feel like I needed to defecate. After reading a bit of stuff about anxiety, I realised that I was in fight or flight mode. When in this state, the body takes over and I believe wants to defecate to lighten the load, making flight easier.
That is totally
fear
correct.
Gives a feeling of wanting to shit yourself so you're able to kind of move a bit quicker.
Yeah, and just to add two more things to it, so it's flight, fright, and also, and this comes up in, I'm sorry to say, sexual abuse cases, freeze. You know, you just freeze and you don't do anything. And I was saying in court, but she didn't move, Your Honour. Makes you, and also fawn, where you pretend to like the person just so they won't kill you. And the experiment has been done in hospitals where they get the police officers in and they said, but they were being nice to the person, and they said, they put out the scenario, you're a police officer, you got a gun, and you're going home at the end of a shift, you're wearing your gun, and I sneak up behind you and I put a gun to your back. Will you let me take your car? And you say, yeah, I'll take your car. So you're fawning to me, are you? You're agreeing that I'm okay because... So this whole flight fight thing is true, but there's also fawn and freeze. I just thought I'd put that out as a freeze, as a PSA.
Grace Tame has talked about this extensively as well when it comes to child sexual abuse cases. So I would recommend looking at her work, reading her book. If this has brought up anything for you this morning, 13 11 14 is the Lifeline number. Tom in Meanjin, Brisbane, what's your question?
G'day, doctors. From my understanding, as the planets are formed, the denser materials get pulled in first and the lighter stuff kind of get pulled in later. So is it possible that as we drill closer to the core, we could discover new elements?
Possible but unlikely. So the force of attraction is related to one mass multiplied by the other mass. And so the heavier the objects, the greater the force of attraction. But on the other hand, so is the inertia. So it'll tend to stay there. So if you drop in a vacuum a feather and a ball of iron, they'll both fall at the same speed. So heavier elements do not get attracted first. They all get attracted in. And in the case of our Earth, we've got a 60 to 60 kilometre crust of solid rock and then molten gloopy rock underneath in the mantle, taking us halfway down 3,000 kilometres to the centre. The next 3,000 kilometres has got liquid iron, and then a ball of solid iron, and then also there's some radioactive elements in there as well, keeping the throwing a bit of heat out. So almost certainly we wouldn't find elements we haven't discovered because they have, as we head up the periodic table, they have shorter and shorter lifespans. So the natural elements take us up to 92, and everything above 92 has gone. It's radioactive and it doesn't exist in the universe naturally. I think I'm right on that one. And so we've had to make them in laboratories. And as we've been heading up, they've been getting shorter and shorter lifespans. Like instead of having a half-life of 1 billion years or 1 million years or 10 years or 1 year, they're heading down into a second, a thousandth of a second, and a trillionth of a second. But we might find something down there because we're currently at element 118, and there's a possibility that when we get to element 128, we could enter the island of stability. And there could be elements in very small quantities that we didn't know about. On the other hand, getting down to the core of the Earth is virtually impossible with today's technology. Very deep question, Dr. Tom.
Thanks, Tom. We've got Xavier in Foster. Xavier, you're a bit sick at the moment. What's going on?
Hey, legends. So I have been sick the last couple of days. Yesterday had just a nasty headache, and every time I coughed I would groan. And then towards evening it calmed down a little bit, and then, as I find often happens, when I lay me down to sleep and go to bed, it kicks back in with a vengeance. I got this awful fever and the headache came back. Yeah, and I often find that when you go to bed, the illness often seems to get worse. Is that just me?
No, that's normal. Are you fairly confident that there's nothing serious going on, that we can just treat it as a random illness that will come, never be understood, and
I
go away?
suspect it's just going to be a flu that disappears in a few
Okay,
days.
we're talking immune system here. So firstly, during the daytime, cortisol, a chemical, tends to be lower at night, and So therefore, you got increased inflammation and your immune system takes off longer. Secondly, via a different pathway, certain immune responses will take off, once again making your body go active. Thirdly, there's reduced distraction. As opposed to trying to do something, you're just lying there with nothing else going on, so you notice it more. And then finally, there's a lying down effect, that mucus can drain by gravity from here to there. All of these combine to make things worse. I don't know why. The universe was unkind to you to make things worse at night.
It's also just so annoying because you need sleep to get better.
And you need sleep to get better.
And then you feel worse.
And you feel worse. That evolution sucked on that one, as well as the knee joint.
Accepted part of the human condition.
That's it. Xavier, feel better. Thanks for your question.
Easy. Can't wait to hear myself back on the podcast feed.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. Yeah, if you want to listen back, you can do so wherever you get your podcasts, also via YouTube and the Triple J app. Dr. Karl, this time next week, it'll be National Science Week, and we will have done our live show.
Oh, my God.
Can you believe it?
Oh, my God. And we're entering Science Week, which lasts for several weeks because that's the way scientists are.
As it should be. Hey, if you want to come along for the first time, we are taking this segment, this podcast, to the live stage. One night only for the very first time, Monday, August 11 at the Enmore Theatre. We're going to be recapping it by the time we do this segment again. So if you want to be in the room, make sure you buy tickets via Ticketek. Dr. Karl, I'll catch you on Monday.
Live on stage. Ooh, I've got to have my coffee 45 minutes beforehand because coffee has a half-life, it reaches its maximum effects by 45 minutes. So when I go on stage, man, I'm peaking.
And that's it. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Science with Dr. Karl. And for the very first time, we are taking it to the live stage. I'm so excited. By this time next week, you are going to be hearing the highlights from that live show at the Enmore Theatre. So if you want to be in the room, if you want to say that you were there for the first one night only, get your tickets now. If you can be at Sydney's Enmore Theatre on Monday, August 11. Doors at 6:30. Show starts at 7:30. We're so excited. We can't wait. What shirt is Dr. Karl going to wear? I've got no idea. Hey, I'm excited to see myself. This episode was produced by Josh Brennan. I'm Lucy Smith. We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Dave Marchese here from the Triple J Hack team. Hey, if you love Dr. Karl's podcast like I do, you might enjoy the Hack podcast as well. Each day we bring you the news that matters to you, from the latest science on climate change to what's happening in politics and news around the world. The Hack podcast. It's your daily fix of the news you need to know. Get it wherever you're listening now.